Welcome to Parsnips and Parsimony. My name is Janelle. Today I'm going to be giving you a tour of our Zone 5 Upstate New York vegetable garden. I'm just going to take you bed by bed and show you what's growing, what we've planted, and if you haven't seen our daily vlogs where I've actually shown you how I've planted these things as we go along, please subscribe and go back and check out some of those videos. I'll start with my garden right next to my house here. If you've watched my past vegetable garden updates, you will notice that this garden is actually expanded. I originally had two individual long garden plots with grass down the middle, but this year we decided to expand the garden as well as putting in an edging all the way around. And I blocked this off into block segments this year for gardening. We're trying something new to see how this works. So this first section here are all banana peppers. And then this section here was originally my cold frame glass house, whatever you would like to call it, where I started these plants back at the end of March, beginning of April, and now being the end of May, all the plants are just starting to produce. So we have here some spinach that I have not harvested yet. We have some broccoli, two plants of broccoli here, more lettuce, kale, spinach, I harvested some this morning, lettuce, and some beets. Then last week I planted some beets here which haven't come up yet. I have kale, I have some spinach coming here, and then I also planted two more rows of greens. This year has proven to be extremely challenging with the animals. Last season we actually lost over half of our crop of food to animals, and so the trend seems to be continuing. I am working on finding organic ways to handling those. Usually I keep all of my greens in my back garden, which I'll show you in a little bit, but these greens have actually done very well with no rodent issues. So I'm not inclined to moving these. Usually I don't grow them up here, but they're doing so well. I'm leaving them alone because we're getting food from it already. I may end up replanting other things here later on, but for now we're just going to go ahead and leave those plants right there. Moving on here, I have another bed here of bell peppers and then another bed here of jalapeno peppers. Then something we are trying this year are strawberries. I don't expect to get any strawberries this year, but hopefully next year. So I have 4 strawberry plants right there. I haven't planted my eggplants yet. I'll show you those in a little bit. They're still in the growing stages. We transplanted the Egyptian onions, so all of those are in one bed. These will not be usable this year because we just transplanted them, but those will be for next year. And then right down the center aisle, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 beds of tomatoes, and that's what these long sticks are for. Planning on training them up to go as tall as they can go, and then we're going to just pinch them off at the top. And then in the back row here we found some garlic when we were expanding the bed. These were just volunteers, so I went ahead and transplanted them. They're not going to be much of anything this year, but we'll still go ahead and harvest them and use them. My parsley overwintered, yay! So I have already been harvesting lots of parsley. I have thyme here, and then I don't know if you guys can see those little baby plants, but I put 2 rows of dill here, and then right here I have a row of zinnias for companion planting. I have 2 rows here of basil, and then 2 more rows of some more parsley. When I'm trying to do all of my own canning and preserving, I try to grow the herbs that I'm going to need for them as well, which eliminates me having to go out and look for it, either buying it at the store or from local farmers. I had 2 extra beds this year, 1 there and 1 there. So I planted some patty pan squash this year, and then Art asked for some pepita pumpkins, so we went ahead and planted those. And then these 6 cages will be for more eggplants. Near our house we have blueberry bushes. This is a patio blueberry bush that is actually spreading. It has sent out runners right here. Look at that. And right back here. So love to see that. We also have some other blueberry bushes. Now here are those Egyptian onions that you saw in the other bed. These were volunteers. And since I won't be able to use the other onions, these are the ones I'll be using this year to cook with, and that should actually take care of eliminate these, so that'll free up this bed because those weren't supposed to be here. I have some lettuce here. These are just lettuce babies I'm growing in a grow box, and my kids help me water these, so they look a little rough. But these are my eggplants that I grew, and you can tell they're not quite ready to transplant. They're almost there. Then I have a pot of basil here, a Gerber daisy, and then I have oregano here by that blueberry bush. I have 2 planters here, which I just put in some radishes and some more lettuce. These will be my transplant bed. What I found that works really well for me is I put the lettuce into containers that I'm going to then take and transplant into the garden. So if you space out your lettuce, replanting like every 2 or 3 weeks, you should, in a good year, should have continuous lettuce for the entire year. So that's what those 2 beds are for right now. We'll just create some more lettuce babies, and those will get replanted every 2 weeks for most of the summer. And then up on my deck, I planted zinnias here, and then some more basil and parsley. For our backyard, we have a peach tree, grape arbor, cherry trees, another peach tree. I have another peach and pear, which I will give you up close of here. We are really trying to work as hard as we can on being as self-sufficient with our food as we can. Obviously, we don't have enough land here to, raise grain and corn and all of that, but we're trying to do the best that we can with what we have. And we have I think it's about 1/3 of an acre here, and well, we're doing as best as we can with whatever space we have and still keeping room for our children to be able to play. You can see the grapes have done really well. I did not get around to trimming them this year, so they're going to be a little bit more hairy, but at this point they're starting to produce their flowers, and you can see those right here. These are the beginning of the grapes, and well, it looks like it's going to be a good year. I'm seeing a lot of them all over the place, so if we can keep the fungus away, we should have a really good year of grapes this year. Our cherry tree was absolutely covered with flowers this year, and if you can see those, there's some cherries right there. These are, I believe, sour cherries on this tree. In past years, we've had a disease, I think it's more of a fungal infection, on both of our cherries and our tomatoes, primarily due to a lack of ventilation and sunlight. So we've been doing some research on how to combat that in a natural way. One of the ways was a heavy pruning, particularly on the peach. I've never pruned our peach tree quite so heavily, but I did a lot of YouTube videos and read about what it needed, and I think it looks really, really good. There are some peaches already on the tree. I don't know if you can see those, but those are some baby peaches right there. And then our pear tree did not flower this year. It's about 4 or 5 years old, so we're hoping maybe next year. And this is my second garden. This is on the back of our yard. So I have my bed of rhubarb. I just harvested 8 pounds of rhubarb from that bed there to make some strawberry rhubarb jello jam. So that's looking a little thin, but I just harvested all of that. And then something we're trying this year is we're trying to grow our squash and our pumpkins outside. So you can see we've put some of the plants are just starting to come up. We've got squash, pumpkins, pepitas, zucchini out here. All those type of plants are right here in the front. Now I have these 2 trellises here. I put in here some cucumbers, which are just starting to come up. But then along the back side here, this I felt like was some wasted space, and I wanted to take advantage of it. So in the back here is a row of carrots. They aren't up yet. And then up here, I have a row of lettuce. So that looks like that's just starting to come up. For here, I have more cucumbers that have come up. And back here, I went ahead and planted 2 long rows of spinach. So I was paying attention to the forecast today. Well, actually, most of this week, it's been in the high 80s, low 90s. and that's not good for spinach. You guys have grown spinach, you know that spinach likes cool weather. However, this weekend it's supposed to go right back down into the mid to high 60s. Yay, that's spinach weather. So I went ahead, I wasn't originally planning on putting spinach back behind these cucumbers, but I thought, let's put the spinach back here. We're gonna have some cool weather, and maybe I can get some more harvest out of spinach before it gets too hot. And the other thing is, with these beds here, with these trellises here, I'll be able to let those cucumbers shade the spinach, again helping keep that spinach and the lettuce in the other row a little bit cooler, and hopefully extending the season on that. I planted here some zucchini and also some spaghetti squash. Right back here, this is our first year crop of horseradish. We won't be harvesting this year. This will be for next year. And then I have my garlic that is doing pretty well this year. I have more spinach, more kale. You're probably seeing a theme here. And earlier this year, I went ahead and planted some pak choi. Unfortunately, with this heat that we had, it immediately went to seed and it didn't grow to much of anything else. Next to it, I have a row of some beets, and all the way down here, they probably need a replanting. We've been having the problem with the rodents just eating the greens back here. It started with the peas. They really did a number on my peas back here. And so what I ended up doing is replanting beans. And I put my pole beans here because this is my pole bean fence. I do the staggering of the plants. So usually I have my peas up first, and then I put my beans in. But because the rodents went ahead and destroyed all of my peas, I went ahead and put the beans in. Well, it turns out that when I put the beans in and they sprouted, the animals didn't want to touch the peas anymore. So here you can see I have my peas that are now starting to really grow, and then the beans following right up behind them. I think I'm going to get a crop of peas after all. These 4 sets of TPs are also for more pole beans. Then I have zucchini that is I'm going to try something new this year, train it to go up the poles. 2 of them have already sprouted. I'm still waiting for these other 2. So we'll have 4 plants of zucchini here. And then I started with some beans here. Last night I replanted the beans because they did not germinate all that well. So hopefully this will be a nice wide row of beans. If you've never used the book, The Joy of Gardening by Dick Raymond, definitely check that out. I'll put a link for that in the description below. That has been essential for me learning how to garden. I have been using that book since I was a kid, and he has so many helpful tips and useful ideas on practical gardening. It's not hard to understand. It's just one of the best books, in my opinion, out there. And if one of the things that he does is wide row gardening, it increases your productivity. You get a higher yield in a smaller amount of space. That's what I'm practicing here with my beans and my peas this year. Something new to us are potatoes. Now, I've grown potatoes in the past, not seed potatoes, but just the grocery store potatoes, because they grew too much in my pantry and I didn't want to throw them out. But this year we went and we bought 3 different types of potatoes. There was a blue, a white, and then we bought a Yukon Gold. So we're trying a garbage can method and then the regular ground method, trying something different. And then here I have a wide row of peas, which again, the animals are after. I probably should put beans with them. Lastly, I have parsnips, our namesake for this channel. We have some parsnips coming up. They have done fabulous so far, considering my history with parsnips. These are great. And then I have Swiss chard over here. Again, this is what I have, these little critters that just nibble off the leaves and really cause such a problem in the garden. And then lastly, I have 1 row of again, leaf lettuce, but I'm having the worst time. There's a leaf lettuce here with the animals coming through and eating it. This all was beautiful leaf lettuce, just little babies, and then you can see what's left. I've gone ahead and replanted, but they're not up yet. And I forgot 1 row. I have carrots here. Some came up, some didn't. I'll go ahead and replant these. And I had pak choi back here, but the animals ate that too. And this is our horseradish. This is our second year of having the horseradish in this section. So next spring we'll harvest these roots. In front of my chicken coop, I went ahead and had the boys help me put in an edging this year, hopefully helping keep those weeds out. We've got leftover flowers and irises here. I went ahead and put in some cosmos and zinnias here. I will have one eggplant here. Isn't that pretty, Lily?
Yeah. But this one
Yeah, they're coming. You'll have some more in a little while. I'm not sure how everything will actually work out this year, but this is what I've done so far. I hope you'll consider subscribing to our channel. I'm hoping to do these updates at the end of every month so you guys can see how things are going. And if you want more detailed information, just go ahead and watch our vlogs for just more everyday gardening and videos. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know on the community page how your garden is going and what kind of produce you are getting out of it so far. And do you keep a produce journal? My personal goal this year for my produce journal is to hit at least 500 pounds of produce coming out of our yard here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you for our next video. Bye.